Amen. So, back in the day, there was this TV show that I used to watch. And by the day, I mean like early 70s, 1970s. You may or may not have watched it. It was Monty Python's Flying Circus. Now, before they became a little bit of a, people didn't like them because they kind of skewered things that people felt particularly insecure about. Monty Python's Flying Circus was a TV show. It was a sketch comedy show, right? And if you aren't a fan, sorry, just go with me. If you were a fan, you'll remember this. There was one particular episode that I think the theme of the whole episode was actually about vocation, but there's one sketch in particular where it opens on the door of an office and it says vocational guidance counselor or something like that. And then inside the office, there's a guy sitting behind the desk dressed in particularly, appropriate 1970s business attire, wide tie, wide lapels, that kind of thing. And across from him is seated this guy who has a very particular way of being dressed in like shirt and collar and tie and jacket, and he's got the hair parted down the middle and very carefully slicked back, and he's got the little mustache and stuff. And in those days, the early 70s, you would have interpreted that appearance as being stereotypically and somebody who worked in an office with kind of a paper job, right? Not anything particularly exciting, something where you maybe moved numbers or paper and that kind of thing. And the guy on the other side of the desk says something like, well, we've reviewed all of your tests and interviews from last week, and we've assessed them, and we are pretty certain that we can tell you that the ideal job for you is chartered accountancy. And the guy on the other side of the desk looks quite caught off guard and says, but I am a chartered accountant. And the guy on the other side of the desk says, well then, you're all set to go. Off you go then. But the other guy says, no, I am a chartered accountant. I don't want to be a chartered accountant. I've been a chartered accountant for 20 years. It's really boring. It's dull. I hate it. I want to do something more interesting, something more exciting. That's why I'm here. And the other guy says, but your ideal career is chartered accountant. That's who you are. And he goes, no, I don't. And so the guy on the other side of the desk says, okay, so do you have an idea of what it is you'd like to do? And the guy says, yes. I want to be a lion tamer. And the guy on the other side of the desk is a little bit surprised, and he's kind of, do you know what that entails exactly? Oh, yes. Do you have any particular qualifications for it? Well, I have a hat. I got it at Harrods. It's a hat that says lion tamer on it, and it lights up at night so that you can see it. Yes, but do you have any experience of being a lion tamer? Have you ever spent any time with lions? Well, I've seen them at the zoo. And they don't look particularly ferocious or anything. And the guy on the other side of the desk is starting to wonder a little bit, and he says, what exactly do you think a lion looks like? Well, they're about this tall, and they have short, stumpy brown legs and a big, long nose. And the guy on the other side of the desk goes, I think you're describing an anteater. Lions are big and they're like 5 feet long and they weigh hundreds of pounds and they've got ferocious teeth and stuff. And the guy on the other side of the desk goes, okay. And he thinks about it for a minute, and then the guy, the counselor says, do you maybe want to try and get into it through maybe banking or something like that? Maybe transition through some careers. And maybe, yeah, maybe I'll just take some time to think about it and I'll get back to you. And he goes away. This is what call is really like. It's what it's really like. We've traditionally told this story about Jesus calling these fishermen to come and fish for people, as if Jesus went to the lake shore, said, "You come with me." And they went, "Okay," dropped everything and left. But that's not how Luke tells the story at all. It's not that simple. There's some things you need to know. Like, right before this happens, we've heard about how Jesus is teaching and preaching in the area. In fact, he's staying at Simon's house. And in fact, the day before, Simon's mother was ill and Jesus helps heal her. Simon knew Jesus, in other words, and not only did he know him just from the preaching teaching thing, he stayed at his house. I think it's reasonable to presume that Simon perhaps had some previous conversations with Jesus, don't you? Do you randomly let people stay at your house without knowing who they are? So the next day, Jesus goes and he's teaching, and there's such a crowd that he borrows a boat and teaches from the boat. Whose boat does he borrow? Well, the one guy he knows, Simon. And he does some teaching, and then he comes back onto the shore. And he sees that Simon and the others haven't really caught anything. So he says, "You should go out again, out into the deep water over there, and put your nets down. You'll catch some fish." And Simon goes, "We've been working at this. I'm a professional. You stick to your thing. I'll stick to mine. I'm a professional. We haven't caught anything." "Yeah, but if you tried over there, just try over there." "Well, okay, Jesus, since you said so. I've gotten to know you a bit. Sure, I'll give it a shot." They go out, they catch so many fish that he needs help. And they bring so many fish. Imagine how many fish that must have been to fill those boats. That must have fed the town for quite some time. And then Simon goes, "Why, thank you, Jesus, for that great recommendation. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much." No, he doesn't. Simon's scared now because he spent a couple of days, he's seen this guy in action, he knows he's a holy man, he's stayed with him, he's had conversations with him, and out of the blue he says, "Go and try over there," and he does, and they catch fish. So not only is he a little bit perhaps in awe of Jesus to begin with, now the professional fisherman didn't catch anything, but some random guy said, "Go over there," and they caught fish. Imagine how Simon is feeling right now. Because it sure as heck isn't inspired to want to do anything. So here's the moment. Is this a moment where the power of Christ compels you, and so they dropped everything and went with Jesus? Or is this a moment where Jesus went, "You know what, Simon, here's the thing. You are a good fisherman, and you're a good person. You are. In fact, we're all children of God, and we're all worthy just as we are. It's not about you being the best at anything. It's about you being, other than being the best at being you. And you know what? In fact, you're just the kind of person I'm looking for. To be the best you. Listen, come with me, and we'll fish for people. It'll be just like the fishing thing, only I think you'd be really good with people. You know what? I think you'd be really good at this. Think about it. What do you think? And then off they go. See, I think there's got to be more to that because, well, there's you in the story. It's not just about Jesus says, thou shalt. It's about whether or not Simon is willing to go. It's about whether or not Simon thinks he should, whether or not Simon thinks he is worthy of going with this holy man who seems to know a lot about fishing, strangely enough. And then the others come too. Did they just kind of go, oh, Simon's doing it, let's go? Or did they too have some kind of connection with Jesus, some kind of interaction with Jesus? See, there's always two pieces here. And a really big piece is you. How often have we done, well, I'm just going to speak for myself. How often I've thought to myself, ooh, I'd really like to do, no, I'm not good at that. And then go back to what I'm comfortable with. How often do you stick with what you're comfortable with instead of trying something? It holds you back. It holds you back. I'm not selling you on anything here, but let me tell you of the number of people who've said to me, ooh, I could never do your job. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. Because all you have to do really is be you. You can learn things. You can share things. But just like anything else, you need to be able to put yourself into it. Otherwise, it's just a job, right? What about all those things you dream about doing? How are those dreams going to happen? More importantly, how are you going to share those dreams with other people if you don't believe in you as well? See, it's not enough to just go, I don't know if you learned this in Sunday school, but believe it or not, back in the day, I did go to Sunday school for a couple of weeks, and I learned frog. Did you learn frog? Fully rely on God. That's what it stands for. That's a wonderful sentiment. As long as it doesn't turn into, I don't have to do anything because God's going to do it. You have to participate. You do. We all have to participate. You kind of, in a way, you don't have a choice, right? Because if God is life, it's about participating in life. And here's Jesus saying, I see how you're participating in life, and I want to invite you into something else. I imagine part of the conversation included Simon, I'm coming to the Peter part, Simon saying, I'm not good with people, I'm short-tempered, I'm gonna let you down all over the place, Jesus. I'm gonna stick with the fishing thing. No, listen, I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm just asking you to be you. And sure enough, because we know the story, it's not like Simon doesn't let Jesus down a few times. Probably more times than we read. But he gets back up again and he keeps going. And ultimately, Simon becomes Peter, the rock on which I will build my church, right? That's what Peter means. The foundation. Peter was already more than a fisherman. who's already more than that, just as we are each individually more than just the things we do. We are dreams. We are desires. We are so many things. With God. It's never just about saying, God will take care of this. God will provide. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that sentiment. There really isn't. As long as you're aware you have to participate. You have to participate. And here's Jesus reminding not just Simon, but all of us, you are worth it. You are worthy of it. You are wonderfully, perfectly you, just as you are. Come on, let's learn some things. Let's live some things. Let's share that wonderfulness that is you with others in a way that helps us all live as fully and wholly as we can. These stories about Jesus calling fishermen, or even John's story, John has a completely different story where followers of John see Jesus and John says, go check out that guy, and Jesus says, come and see. Come and see what I'm doing. I imagine the conversation was quite similar. Oh, no, listen, that's pretty amazing stuff you're doing. We could never. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because what you bring to it is you. These stories aren't just about Jesus calling the chosen 12 amongst the many. It's about Jesus speaking to each of us and reminding us that we are each worthy and wonderfully, perfectly made just to be who we are. And we need to live that. We need to learn and grow and fulfill with the wholeness that is us.